what's your position on replacing the federal income tax with a federal sales tax?
I'm Rick Santorum. My wife Karen and I are the parents of 7 children, and my little girl, Isabella, 3 years old, had some surgery today. She's doing fine, but I just wanted to send to her a little "I love you," and I will take the red eye home to be with you tomorrow and make sure that you're feeling kind.
Will his plan raise taxes?
Herman's well-meaning, and I love his boldness, and it's great. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, reports are now out that 84% of Americans would pay more taxes under his plan. That's the analysis, and it makes sense. Because when you don't provide a standard deduction, when you don't provide anything for low-income individuals, and you have a sales tax and an income tax, and as Michelle said, a value-added tax, which is really what his corporate tax is, we're talking about major increases in taxes on people. He also doesn't have anything that takes care of the families. I mean, you have a situation where under Herman's plan, a single person pays as much in taxes as a man and a woman raising 3 children. Ever since we've had the income tax in America, we've always taken advantage of the fact that we want to encourage people to have children and not have to pay more already to raise children, but also pay that additional taxes. We gave some breaks for families. He doesn't do that in this bill, and we've seen that happen in Europe. And what happened? Boom! Birth rates went into the basement. It's a bad tax for. Again, it's bold. I give him credit for starting a debate, but it's not good for families, and it's not good for low income.
Senator Santorum, does Mitt Romney have the answers for jobs?
I agree with all of what Governor Romney and Governor Perry said. I would add the fact that I've put forward the plan that's going to allow for income mobility. That's a new term, but I've been using it for a long time, which is people at the bottom part of the income scale being able to rise in society. Believe it or not, studies have been done that show that in Western Europe, people at the lower parts of the income scale actually have a better mobility going up the ladder now than in America. And I believe that's because we've lost our manufacturing base. No more stamp made in America is really hurting people in the middle. And that's why I've focused all of the real big changes in the tax code at manufacturing. I cut the corporate rate for manufacturing to 0, repeal all regulations affecting manufacturers that cost over $100 million and replace them with something that's friendly they can work with. We repatriate $1.2 trillion that manufacturers made overseas and allow them to bring it back here if they invested in plants and equipment. They can do it without having to pay any excise tax. The final point I would make to Governor Romney, you just don't have credibility, Mitt, when it comes to repealing Obamacare. Your plan was the basis for Obamacare. Your consultants helped Obama craft Obamacare, and to say that you were going to repeal it, you have no track record on that we can trust you that you're going to do that. Mitt, the governor of Massachusetts just is coming forward saying we have to pick up the job left undone by Romney Care, which is doing something about cutting health care costs. What you did is exactly what Barack Obama did, focused on the wrong problem. Herman always says you got to find the right problem. Well, the right problem is health care costs. What you did with a top-down government-run program was focus on the problem of health care access. You expanded the pool of insurance without controlling costs. You've blown a hole in the budget up there, and you've authored in Obamacare, which is going to blow a hole in the budget of this country.
Senator Santorum?
Yeah, I'd like to address the issue that the gentleman brought up, which is what are we going to say to the Latino community? And not one person here mentioned the issue of family, faith, marriage. This is a community that is a faith-filled community, that family is at the center of that community. I disagree in some respects with Congressman Paul, who says, you know, the country's founded on the individual. The basic building block of a society is not the individual, it's the family. It's the basic unit of society. And the Latino community understands that. They understand the importance of faith and marriage. They understand that bond that builds that solid foundation and that inculcation of faith and religious freedom. And I think the Latino community knows that's at stake in this country. There's a lot going on right now that's eroding our religious freedom, that's eroding the traditional values of marriage and family. And there's one candidate up here who consistently sounds that theme. Look, I'm for jobs too. I've got an economic plan. I agree with everything that's been said. But we keep running roughshod over the fact that the family in America and faith in America is being crushed by the courts and by our government, and someone has to stand up and fight for those instances.
Yeah, my question is, those of us who own property here in Nevada have been devastated by the real estate bubble. What would you do as president to help fix the overall problem of real estate and foreclosures in America?
It's a situation right now where obviously the market's has been decimated. And so now you're looking at how do you repair. The problem is, in the first place, is that several people up here, the quote business people, supported the TARP, supported the bailout. Governors Perry, Romney. No, you wrote a letter on the day of the vote. You wrote a letter on the day of the vote, Governor, saying to vote for the plan. That's what I mean. That the letter's been. Yes, you did, Governor.
You'll have a chance to respond. Let me finish.
With you. So you supported it. Governor Romney and Herman Cain all supported the TARP program, which started this ball rolling. Yeah. I mean, you guys complain about Governor Romney flip-flopping. I mean, look at what's going on here. I mean, the bottom line is you all supported it. You all started this ball rolling where the government injected itself in trying to try to fix the market with the government top-down trying to do it and manage decline. And what happened was people who did things that were wrong, invested in things, took risks, were bailed out, and the folks who acted responsibly are now getting hurt because their houses have gone down in value. We need to let the market work, and that's what hasn't been happening so far.
Should voters pay attention to a candidate's religion?
I think they should pay attention to the candidate's values, what the candidate stands for. That's what's at play, and the person's faith. And you look at that faith and what the faith teaches with respect to morals and values that are reflected in that person's belief structure. So those are important things. I'm a Catholic. Catholic has social teachings. Catholic has teachings as to what's right and what's wrong. And those are legitimate things for voters to look at, to say if you're a faithful Catholic, which I try to be, fall short all the time, but I try to be. And it's a legitimate thing to look at as to what the tenets and teachings of that faith are with respect to how you live your life and how you would govern this country. With respect to what is the road to salvation, that's a whole different story. That's not applicable to what the role is of being the president or a senator or any other job.
A Twitter question. Given that Israel has just negotiated with Palestine for a soldier, would any of you negotiate for a hostage?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, you can't negotiate with terrorists, period. To address Congressman Paul's answer and the other answer on military spending, I would absolutely not cut one penny out of military spending. The first order of the federal government, the only thing the federal government can do that no other level of government can do is protect us. It is the first duty of the President of the United States is to protect us. And we should have the resources, we should have all the resources in place to make sure that we can defend our borders, that we can make sure that, when we engage in foreign countries, we do so to succeed. That's been the problem in this administration. We've had political objectives instead of objectives for success, and that's why we haven't succeeded. And as Michelle said, and correctly said, the central threat right now is Iran. The disrespect, yes, but it's more than that. They sent a message. The two countries that they went after was the leader of the Islamic world, Saudi Arabia, and the leader of the, quote, secular world, the United States. This was a call by Iran to say, we are the ones who are going to be the supreme leader of the Islamic world. We are going to be the supreme leader of the secular world. And that's why they attacked here. And by the way, they did it in coordination with Central and South Americans, which I have been talking about and writing about for 10 years.
You have 30 seconds, Congressman Paul. I got to go.
Matter of fact, I don't want to make a statement. I want to ask a question. Are you all willing to condemn Ronald Reagan for changing weapons for hostages out of Iran? We all know that was done.
That's not, Iran was a sovereign country. It was not a terrorist organization, number one.
They were our good friends.
They're not our good friends, but they're a sovereign country, just like the Palestinian Authority is not the good friends of Israel.
He negotiated for hostages.
There's a role, we negotiated with hostages with the Soviet Union. And we've negotiated with hostages, depending on the scale, but there's a difference between releasing terrorists from Guantanamo Bay in response to a terrorist demand.
They're all suspect. They're not terrorists. You haven't convicted them of anything.
Then negotiating with other countries where we may have an interest, and that is certainly a proper role for the United States.
We got to beat President Barack Obama in this next election. In today's new CNN ORC poll, 41% of Republican voters think that Governor Romney has the best chance of beating the president. To Senator Santorum, you got 1%. Why shouldn't Republican voters go with the candidate they feel that can best beat President Obama.
Well, the Pew poll last week asked how many people in this country can name any of us, and less than 50% could come up with even one. So the idea that this has any relevance to people who aren't paying close attention to this debate is in fact irrelevant. What's relevant is to look at the track record. No one in this field has won a swing state. Pennsylvania is a swing state. We win Pennsylvania, we win the election. The Republican is nominated. I've won it twice. I defeated a Democratic incumbent winning it the first time, and I won the state of Pennsylvania, the only senator to win a state who was a conservative that George Bush lost. Bush lost it by 5, I won it by 6. So you have someone who's defeated and been matched up against 3 Democratic incumbents. I'm 3-0. Nobody on this field has won a major race against the Democratic incumbent except me. No one has won a swing state except me as a conservative. I didn't run as a Democrat in Texas when it was popular to run and win there. I didn't run as a liberal in 1994. I ran in 1994, the same year Mitt did in Massachusetts. He ran as a liberal to the left of Kennedy and lost. I ran as a conservative against James Carville and Paul Begala, and I won. And in 2002, he ran as a moderate. He ran as a moderate in Massachusetts. I ran for re-election, having sponsored and passed welfare reform, having authored the Partial Birth Abortion Ban Act.
Fine.
I was a moral conservative. I was a foreign policy conservative.
Fine,
I was a fiscal conservative, and I got elected in a state that hasn't elected a president since 1988 as a Republican.